Really?
One says, "Where are your orders?" And I said, "What orders?" They said, "You have to have special orders to come in here." And they told me not to come back after that.
And then since that time, Wendelle started pursuing information on Project Red Light, and actually even a couple at lectures that Wendelle was giving him on the subject of UFOs later on.
I found Navy CB construction people that worked on Project Red Light that could tell me all about it. And they told me how all of the facilities at the base were relieved and transferred away one at a time, keeping the hospital complement and the reinforced Navy CB battalion to do the construction work. And the base engineers are civilians that build the base and live there forever. And so after the work was well along on Red Light, the hospital was rotated out, new hospital teams brought in to replace them, and the whole base was converted slowly until it became the secret base it is now.
Oh my goodness. And once they achieve high security or top secret status, then can they skirt laws and things like that? And
Yeah.
there's no accounting for
Yeah,
what they're
that's
doing
right.
back there.
If you're not allowed, if the Congress isn't allowed to go onto the base, if the media is not allowed to go on the base, if there's no external investigation of what's going on in a certain facility, and it's above top secret, they could be doing anything they want.
That's true.
And they literally do.
Yeah, that's what I understand that, and that's a good time to mention Edward Teller also connected to S4, and he was also the head of the Atomic Energy Commission.
Yes.
How was Edward Teller connected to S4?
Edward Teller was the head of S4. He was the head of Atomic Energy Commission out of his headquarters at Los Alamos, which controls all of Area 51, Area 9, all the areas in the atomic energy sites, including S4 and all the others, are all connected together under Edward Teller, who told people he knew nothing about UFOs, which is a big lie, because in 1968, after we had a crashed UFO in our hands for months and been making no progress, he convened the Progress Review Conference at Los Alamos, where he had 18 scientists, engineers around a big table. And across from my friend that contacted me early on while he was still working with this alien extraterrestrial, alive one,
Bill
that was
Uhouse.
Bill
brought to
Uhouse.
Area 51 willingly and taken care of there by our government. They provided his habitat facility, his food, his everything for him. He was brought to the conference with 18 scientists around the table, and they put him in a white shirt and slacks to make him look a little less alien, but he still had the disproportionately large head with the big black eyes,
Yes.
no hair follicles.
Uhouse alleged that this meeting took place in 1968, and regarding Teller, Teller was the head of the Atomic Energy Commission for decades.
He chaired the table.
In
my
fact,
goodness.
if somebody holds a position of authority for decades like Teller did, that would be like a president having 10 consecutive terms.
Yes.
And after that, it becomes more or less a dictatorship where somebody has complete control. Now, if somebody's controlling, like Teller, controlling the Atomic Energy Commission, they can direct a lot of things
That's
through
right.
their own desires that maybe isn't in the best interest of the public.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing that's very interesting about Edward Teller is that he was the one who really pushed for the Strategic Defense Initiative in the early 1980s through the Reagan administration, and he was the godfather of SDI. So a lot of what Teller did and has done before he passed away finally, because I think he did a lot of damage to the world, was done without any supervision above him. He basically called the shots. And it's also interesting about Teller that he came over from Germany as during the period of World War II, and just like a lot of other scientists did in Operation Paperclip, where a lot of the ex-Nazi scientists and SS officers were repatriated into the United States and put into super secret facilities to carry on their science and their rocket testing. And Teller was a part of that.
And I wanted to mention too, we had talked about multinational corporations before. I understand that the corporation Bechtel has their hands buried in S4.
They run Lawrence Livermore Laboratory. They run Los Alamos. In fact, you can go to sites all over the internet and just see the long list of what Bechtel's involved in. They were involved in the first experimental nuclear breeder reactor. They built Hoover Dam. They did the BART system. They did the list of their accomplishments as far as architecture marvels is extremely high, but they're also a privately owned company. So, and they receive black budget funding, so they're not allowed to be examined by Congress. They're not allowed to be examined by the public. There are no shares, public shares in Bechtel, so there's no auditing of their accounting. So they can say anything they want and do anything they want. And what really troubles me is what they've done recently in Bolivia, where the Bolivian people finally stood up to them, but they were trying to privatize the water supply. So not only do they run most of the atomic installations on the planet, or have built them, or have had a hand in their construction, but now they're trying to control our water supply.
Oh, and the person who controls the water and the food, basically, and the water runs the world.
Energy and water. I mean, these are things. These are the lifeblood of the planet. You know, of the human population. You need energy to perform your daily tasks. You need water to survive. And if somebody's monetizing all that and controlling it, you know, that's one step away from a dictatorship.
That's right, and it becomes a big business with our interests and our less and less important. It's all the bottom line. It's the dollar.
Yeah, right.
Follow the money.
Government has no control.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of a brainless, mindless thing. It's just kind of scary what you uncovered here in the documentary. I wanted to ask about the Open Skies Treaty member nations. What is that?
Okay, the Open Skies Treaty was basically a treaty that was set up, I think it was in March of 1994, but I'm not positive on that date. And that was a treaty that allowed certain member nations like the Soviet Union, Turkey, different other countries to be able to do flyovers over Area 51 in exchange for our government being able to do satellite flyovers over any of their installations. So it gave the United States a really big leverage in being able to spy on other member nations so that those other nations would have maybe a glimpse to get an idea of what might be going on at S4 and Area 51. But from what Wendelle learned from Connor O'Ryan and other key informants like Phil Schneider and other people that were featured in the documentary, Bob Lazar, is that when they know when S4 and Area 51, they know when these satellites are going to approach. And when they do, what do, Wendelle?
They bring everything inside and close the doors. They say the Russians see nothing.
So it was a really lopsided treaty that these other member nations signed on to.
Yeah, that's kind of like this. That's half-truths. Oh, you can fly over, but we'll have everything out of the way, so
we
you
know
won't
where
get
you
to
are.
see it.
We'll close the doors. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's just so honest, isn't it? That's all above board
Well, it's
here.
just like what President Clinton did with Area 51 when Professor Turley was suing on behalf of the widows of workers who had died in Area 51.
Yes.
And what Clinton did after Judge Philip Pro of Nevada had ruled that that this case could go on, Clinton ordered an executive decree that made it impossible for anybody to examine. They cited state secrets privileges regarding Area 51, and no further investigation could continue, which shut down the court case. Turley appealed to the Ninth Circuit. They refused to hear the case. He went to the Supreme Court. They refused to hear the case. So that basically cut off any remuneration to the widows of the men who died from hazardous waste at Area 51, and that's the way they operate.
That's very unethical, in my opinion. Very unethical, and that's how they operate there. I wanted to get back to Connor O'Ryan briefly. You got a chance to look at some of his documentation in his wallet. You got a chance to do that when he was staying at your house, and you saw there was a W-4 in there, and there was ID indicating that his real name was actually
Derek Hennessy.
Derek Hennessy. And according to the W-4 the W-4 form, that it was Derek Hennessy. They were paying not Connor O'Ryan, I believe.
They were paying Derek Hennessy.
Derek Hennessy.
A salary equivalent to a lieutenant colonel in the military on top of his Marine pay.
Wendelle kept that name in secret for 10 years because he didn't want to take a chance that if he released the name of Hennessy, well, actually, he kept the whole case quiet for 10 years.
I never knew whether, I knew he was a card-carrying CIA officer, so I never knew whether it was a ploy to bring me down or not.
Well, you know, when the document, the W-4 document was shown on your documentary, which, by the way, is on YouTube, anyone wants to see it, it's called S4 Informers. Thank you. You did a great job on this. It's a big, huge 6.5 hour long documentary. You've got to see it.